All right, so it's been 8 days since Super Bowl 49, and I hope you guys have all had a chance to kind of get over the interception at the last second of the game and kind of get over our loss. I know it's not hard to get over anything, but I mean, it's one of those things that no matter how much you want to think about it or how much you want to say we should have ran it, I mean, what happened happened, and what we say or tweet or anything, it's not going to change what happened. It's in the past, and honestly, from here, we just, as fans and obviously as the Seattle team, we just have to keep moving forward. You know, I'm looking forward to free agency. I'm looking forward to the draft and to next year again. You know, I'm back to missing football already. You know, there was no football yesterday, just none. It sucks. But yeah, so I just want to do a little review of the season, of the 2014 to 2015 season of the Seattle Seahawks. That is review of our season. So going into this last season, obviously we won Super Bowl 48, and there was a lot of doubters and stuff saying that, oh, Seattle wouldn't even make it back to the playoffs. There was a lot of people saying they'd make it back, but they'd be one and done in the playoffs. And I think us Seattle fans knew that we had a legitimate chance to get back to the Super Bowl, because what a lot of people didn't see is, I mean, people saw that we lost Golden Tate in free agency, and people thought that was just gonna, wreck us. Some people thought that, us losing Red Bryant and Chris Clemens was gonna wreck us, but we also gained people. We drafted two young receivers in the draft, Kevin Norwood and Paul Richardson. Paul Richardson really found a stride towards the end of the season, and Kevin Norwood, every time a pass was thrown to him, he did a good job catching it and making a play with it. So I mean, those two guys, there's obviously potential to where they can go. But back to what I was saying, there was a lot of doubters, like I said, but ultimately Seattle did end up going back to Super Bowl 49. And it's interesting, because a lot of people are talking about the loss of Golden Tate was going to screw with us, and when you think about it, we didn't just lose Golden Tate. Now think about this: when Sidney Rice originally we signed him right before training camp, I believe, and then he ended up retiring in July. So then you lose a veteran like Sidney Rice. All right, so not only do we not have Golden Tate, but now we don't have Sidney Rice. And then after Week 5. The Seahawks trade Percy Harvin to the Jets after that Cowboys game, and I mean, I don't think anyone saw that coming. I remember coming home and then looking at my phone. I had the NFL mobile thing and going, Seahawks trade Percy Harvin. I thought it was like a miss. I thought somebody messed something up. I thought the title was messed up, and I go on Twitter and everybody's like, "Oh, yes, it's true. Percy Harvin has indeed been traded." And I'm just like, "Oh my God, I can't even believe it." And at the time, I was just kind of like, "What the?" I was so just, I don't know. It was so interesting, But let's talk about the beginning of the season. So Week 1, we open up the season at home against the Green Bay Packers. End up beating them 36-16, and I loved it, because when all the doubters were saying, "Oh, we're gonna suck," I loved just kind of beating the Packers like that. That was great. Week 2 against the Chargers. This was a game that I think no matter what we did, we would have lost it anyway. I think San Diego had a great game plan coming into it, and when you think about it, I forget exactly what the final score was when we were facing the Chargers in Week 2, but we probably should have had 7 points less, because if you remember that one play where Percy Harvin scored, his foot clearly stepped out of bounds. I don't care how big of a Seahawks fan you are, his foot was completely out of bounds. His left foot, or whatever foot it was completely out of bounds. And so yeah, Week 3 against the Broncos obviously wanted a big revenge against us after getting blown out, and it looked like we were dominating them pretty handily. I think we were winning 20-7 at one point or whatever, and they came back and tied it 20-20, went to overtime, and then we marched down the field, handed it off to Beast Mode. Beast Mode dives in the end zone. After 3 weeks, and our bye week was Week 4, so heading into the bye week, we had a 2-1 record. Some people thinking we were only going to have a 1-2 or be 0-3. Those are the doubters once again. I mean, like I said. Then we come back after the bye week, ended up beating Washington on Monday Night Football, which was kind of a very ugly game. There was a lot of penalties and everything. There was 3 Percy Harvin touchdowns that got called back. So, I mean, whoever had Percy Harvin on their fantasy team that week was probably pissed. When we beat the Redskins, we're 3-1. So after the first 4 games of the season, we're sitting here with a 3-1 record, and I predicted earlier, before the season began, that the Seahawks are probably going to finish 11-5 or 3-4. And at this point, when we were 3-1, I was thinking, Seahawks, what if they have a potential to go 14-2 or 13-3 again, like they did the season before. But anyway, going into the Cowboys game, this was a game that I was I was actually very kind of nervous for this game because I knew this game was probably going to be pretty tough. A lot of people didn't expect the Cowboys to do so good this season, and the Cowboys obviously did pretty good, and they ended up beating us at home, our only home loss of the season. And that was big, and that was the game where a lot of people were saying, oh, Percy Harvin was refusing to go back into the game. Percy Harvin is a locker room headache and all this other crap. Not right after the Cowboys game, the Friday after, so right before the Seahawks are about to board the plane and head over to St. Louis, the news was announced that the Seahawks traded Percy Harvin. So at this point, we're sitting here with a record of 3-2, and we just traded away Percy Harvin, and there's all this other media and stuff. There's other media people talking about how apparently some players in the Seahawks locker room don't think Russell Wilson is quote unquote black enough or whatever. And there was a bunch of media reports. There's a bunch of it seemed to be locker room drama or whatever. And then we go into St. Louis, and Russell Wilson, who ran for 100 yards and threw for 300 yards against the Rams. You think, well, your quarterback ran for 100 and he threw for over 300. You think that would be an automatic win? We lost. And the weird part is our special teams pretty much lost that game for us. Not just because we fell for the fake punt, but there was like another play where John Ryan punted it, and our special teams recovering unit totally they thought the ball was going one way, and the Rams tricked us, and the guy caught it on the other side of the field and ran it back for a touchdown. So our special teams losses that game. So after 6 games, we're sitting there at 3-3, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, because we're about to face the Panthers, and I remember sitting here and like watching NFL Network and stuff, just thinking, if the Seahawks go 3-4, it's over. Like they have to go 4-3. They have to win this game against the Panthers. They need to win it. Like that's what I said to myself, and it was once again just like the last few times, other than the playoff game against the Panthers. But the last few times we've played the Panthers, it's all been kind of close and like ugly games, and it was that game too, but we came out on top, and we had a 4-3 record. Then the week right after, I believe it was, we played the Raiders or whatever. We still looked pretty bad against the Raiders. I think we only won by 4 points, and the Raiders almost came back and beat us, but either way, we won. We're 5-3, all right? So, we're 2 games over 500. It's looking better on a 2-game winning streak. Then we go and play the Giants at home. Well, we played the Raiders at home as well, so now we're playing the Giants at home the week after. We're 5-3. We ended up beating the Giants. Now we're 6-3, all right? Now we're on to the game where everybody, including myself, thinks that this is what kind of changed the Seahawks season. We go to Kansas City with a 6-3 record. And we came about this close to beating the Chiefs. We were really close. I believe Jamal Charles ran all over us that game. I don't know if he had 200 yards rushing, but he had to have had close to 200 yards rushing that game. So we lose that game, and we're sitting at 6-4. And then once again, when we're traveling back to CenturyLink to play the Cardinals the week after, we lose to Kansas City. I'm thinking to myself, this is another must-win game. We can't fall to 6-5 here. We got to win and go 7-4. We got to win. And, while it was a game of a lot of field goals, our defense played great, and we ended up beating the Cardinals. I believe it was like 19-3 or something. It's something score like that. I think it was 19-3. Either way, we beat them. We're on to 7-4. And then we only have like a 3-day break because in 4 days we have to go play the 49ers on Thanksgiving night. We ended up playing them very well, and we win, and we go to 8-4. And then we go back, and I believe, who did we face right after the Niners? Oh, the Eagles. So we have like a 10-day break because we played on Thursday, so we get to get rest up and everything. And then we go to Philadelphia, and we end up beating the Eagles, and we got a 9-4 record. So it's looking good. Seattle's on a 3-game winning streak right now. And then we go back to Seattle, play the Niners, win the game, 10-4. We're on a 4-game winning streak right now. Then we go to Arizona on a Sunday night football game, and this is a game where I was also like, this is for the NFC West. You got to win this game. We end up beating them. We beat them like the Cardinals. We beat the shit out of them kind of at their own stadium. Now we're 11-4. Now the last game of the season, this is like we have to win this because if we win this, we clinch the NFC West. So we're playing the Rams in Seattle, and we end up beating them 20-6, and we finish the season with a 12-4 record. And at one point we were 3-3. So a team that at the first 6 games of the season was 3-3, the last 10 games, 9-1. I mean, that's, just think about that. I mean, in a 10-game stretch, Seattle went 9-1. That's absolutely great, especially with everything that happened. You know, I mean, with the whole media surrounding the Seahawks, the locker room kind of drama that might have been going on, may or may not have. I don't know if that story was ever true or not. And the Percy Harvin trade, and yeah, it's all that stuff going on. We actually, I think that Percy Harvin trade, I think, helped us find our identity again with the run game. But anyway, we win the NFC West, get the #1 seed again. Got a first-round bye, so we get to sit back, watch Wild Card Week, and then the NFC Divisional round comes against the Carolina Panthers. And I was actually scared for this game just because the last few times we played the Panthers, it's been sloppy games, but we actually ended up beating them pretty handily too. You know, we just kind of kicked their ass as well. The only really reason they scored 17 points is because Simon, the corner, because I think Byron Maxwell was out because he was having like breathing problems or whatever that game. He kind of gave up a few touchdowns to Kelvin Benjamin, but other than that, we took care of the Panthers. Now the NFC Championship game against the Packers. This was a game where when we were losing 16-0, when we were about to get a field goal, but we ended up like throwing it, and Russell Wilson threw another interception like in the red zone. And then we went, and halftime came, and we were still losing by 16-0. I just remember thinking to myself, "Oh man, you got to be kidding me!" And then we started, and the second half came back. In the third quarter, we were still kind of not playing so well, but our defense was playing great. And then we ended up giving a field goal to the Packers. They ended up taking like a 19-0 lead, I think, and then we got a touchdown, and it was either they got 19 points first, and then we scored a touchdown, we scored a touchdown when they still had 6. Either way, it doesn't matter. So at one point, the score was 19-7, and you're thinking to yourself, oh man, this is just, God, this is just absolutely unbelievable. Then we get the ball back right before the 2-minute warning, and we go marching down the field. Russell Wilson runs it in himself. Touchdown. The score is now 19-14. So we go on, and we're looking to do an onside kick here. Onside kick goes in our favor. I forget who, Bostic, I think Brandon Bostic of the Packers, he really messed that play up, it looks like, for them. And then Chris Matthews, who was huge for us in the Super Bowl, recovered the onside kick. We go down, we score a touchdown, it's 20-19. We get a 2-point conversion on just some, Russell Wilson just threw it up, and Luke Wilson, out of all people, because Luke Wilson dropped so many passes, out of all people, Luke Wilson comes down with the ball and catches it, winning 22-19. And at this point, I'm just like, okay, all our defense has to do is stop them. All our defense needs to do is stop them. We let them get into field goal range. They kick a field goal, and now it's tied 22-0, heading into overtime. You know, this was definitely a game. I could tell when I was sitting in the stands that this was definitely going to be a game of the ages. Even though, I mean, it was a pretty ugly played game, this is still going to be one of the greatest NFC championships ever played. So we sent Tavares Jackson out there for a coin toss because he's just magic when it comes to that stuff. We ended up winning the coin toss. We picked to receive. We go downfield. There was like one when we were third down and 6, and Russell Wilson throws it up to Doug Baldwin for a huge gain. And then literally right after that play on first down, Russell Wilson steps back, stays in the pocket, throws one down to Jermaine Kearse, who all 4 of his interceptions that game were actually intended for Jermaine Kearse. And Jermaine Kearse catches it, touchdown, game's over. Seahawks are heading to a second Super Bowl in a row. And at this point, it was awesome because out of all the doubters that doubted what Seattle could do and all the things that kind of went on during the season, I mean, it was so amazing that they were able to get back to a second Super Bowl. Now, and it was awesome because I really wanted to play the Patriots because I thought the Patriots would have been such a great opponent to play. And so the Patriots ended up beating the Colts in the AFC Championship, so the Super Bowl was going to be Seahawks and Patriots. And now, Super Bowl 49, I'm going to talk about it, even though I know probably none of us really want to hear about it anymore, but here's the thing. Even though the Seahawks lost Super Bowl 49, it was still great. I mean, just imagine if you weren't a Seahawks fan or a Patriots fan. If you were just neutral and you're just sitting there on your couch just watching the Super Bowl. I mean, this has to be one of the best Super Bowls played within the last, well, I don't know, I guess the one 2 years ago between the Ravens and Niners was pretty good, but still, this Super Bowl was really, really cool. I don't like the outcome because we lost, but it was still, it was still a good Super Bowl. And like I said, you got to move on from it, but that's kind of where the Seahawks season ended. they overcame everything, and honestly, like I said, I know I'm being hypocritical right now because I just said we shouldn't be talking about what we should have done in the last play because it's not going to change anything. But I'm just going to say, if we would have ran the ball, I mean, we probably would have gotten back to back, you know. But that's that, you know. And just the fact that just think about how far this team has come in a few years. If you remember, like just in 2011, like right after 2011 ended, you know, we ended up signing Matt Flynn and everything. The expectation was, all right, we got to at least make it to the playoffs and at least, you know, win a wild card to do something, you know. That was the expectation after 2011. And, I mean, to have the expectation for this team now, the expectation now the last few years has been Super Bowl or bust. Like right after 2012 when we lost to Atlanta in the divisional, the expectation has been Super Bowl bust both years. And obviously last year we won it and this year we went to it and unfortunately lost it. But, I mean, just the fact that within 3 years, I mean, this is how, like 3 years ago we were thinking, okay, we just got to get to the playoffs, and now the mindset is Super Bowl or bust, you know? I mean, it's an absolutely great mindset to have, and I mean, if you also remember 3 years ago, you would tell, or 4 years ago, I guess now, because it's 2015, you would tell people you're a Seahawks fan, and they would kind of laugh at you. Now you tell people you're a Seahawks fan, they call you a bandwagoner. You know, it's funny how things change, but anyway, 2014 to 2015 was a great season for football. It was a great season to watch the Seahawks. It was another, you know, roller coaster, and in the end, they played pretty well, especially towards the last half of the season. And you know, they finished it with a 6-game winning streak, and we came that close, pretty much legitimately like that close to winning a second Super Bowl in a row. But we'll have to see what next year brings, and hopefully this offseason goes by fast because it always sucks when Sunday comes by and there's no football on. So hopefully the offseason goes by fast. But you know, I really can't wait for the next season, and it's just, this season was so great. Even though we didn't win the Super Bowl, it was still a great season. Not as good as last because we won it, but it was still a great season. Anyway, that'll conclude the video. I just wanted to get my review out there for the season. I mean, just everything that this team has overcome and everything. It's so great, and it really is a great story. So, anyway, like I said, that'll conclude the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and go Hawks.